This show is sponsored by Joel Ellenwood, aka the Infinite Zeal. You can find him on X, formerly known as Twitter, @_Infinite Zeal. He is probably the nicest dude you'll ever see on social media. He loathes the state just like the rest of us, but he has a proper way of doing it and bringing us some good laughs. We're going to meme our way through this, but please give him a follow on X @_Infinite Zeal. Thanks for the sponsor, Joel. Let's get to the show. Welcome to the 100th episode of Buds in Reality. I'm Sean Collins, the guy with a lot to say, and I have somebody very special near and dear to my heart with us this week for my 100th episode. Man, he happens to be running for state representative in District 75 of Arkansas. What is up, Michael White?
Man, what is up, Sean Collins? Thank you so much for having me for episode Benjamin Franklin over here. This is great. So, man, congratulations. That's a lot of work, man.
It is a lot of work.
That's 2 years if you're doing an episode every week, taking a week every now and then off. So, I mean, dude, that's awesome.
That's 2 years of me taking months off because actually I had some life-saving surgery in between all of it.
That's right. You did. Your intestines tried to kill you about a year ago. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Trying to kill me. So like I'm back. And the funny thing is I believe it was last week, but 1 year ago was the first time you ever came on here. And now you've been on all the times.
Yeah, that's right. Right. I think this is my fourth time on here or third time. I can't remember.
I believe it's 4.
Okay, maybe
you're
4.
co-host at this point.
Yeah, might as well. Yeah, I enjoy the show a lot, and so this is an honor and privilege to be here for episode 100. That's awesome, man. So
now, and the one thing, my wife, Mrs. Buds, who edits this show, was like, dude, you need to have all the people on and congratulate you and whatever. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that because I don't like people like.
You don't want to like, we are the world.
Yeah, like I don't want that. Like, as much as I love doing this, I don't like all the attention on me. I just don't. It's weird.
No, I get that, man. I'm good with people. I like socializing with people. I enjoy talking with people, but it's an energy drainer, not an energy maker for me, right?
Right.
Like I don't get perpetually more hype around people. Like I gotta take my rest and reprieve. So I get you, man. I understand that. I really do.
But like now that you just said that, we are gonna make this show all about you.
Yeah.
And also this show is for you, Arkansas. This show is not for me. This is for the people of Arkansas because you are in a state representative race, which happens to be a two-way race. There's no Republican involved in this. And it's very winnable. Very winnable.
Yeah, it really is. I haven't come across a race like this in 2024, Sean. So I don't want to sound pretentious and I don't want to sound like this is all about me. But I believe this is the most winnable libertarian race in 2024 on this level or higher, basically. And I'd be saying this if it wasn't my race, if somebody else was running in it, I'd be saying, hey, Sean Collins up there in Michigan district, yada, 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 y'all need to look at this. So this is District 75. This is West Little Rock, West Side, the best side over here. We start getting into the hills, and so that's right, man. It's hard out here in West Little Rock sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got the country club and you got a little bit of this over here, so you got to figure it out. But the district is consistently polls. I mean, consistently poll after poll after poll, 50% Democrat, 50% Republican. It is within the margin of error. Every single time, no matter who does the poll, whether the very left-leaning media does it or, Heritage Foundation does it, it doesn't matter who does the poll. It's very, very close. And so a lot of two-way libertarian races that we have in the country, the reason you have a two-way race is because it's so against the other party, they just don't run anybody. Like we have another district in Little Rock, Southeast Little Rock, is like 85 points Democrat. There's the Republicans could literally run Jesus and it wouldn't matter. He might pull 20 points, right? so you just don't run anybody. So, there are a lot of two-way libertarian races, and I think those are really good opportunities, like every race, for us to message. But this is a winnable election, and I mean, again, entirely winnable. Like they're all winnable, but this one's really winnable, if that makes sense, man. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Now, you ran for Congress in 2022.
I did.
And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, please, but I believe that was the first time you ran for anything, right?
That's the first time I ever ran for anything. Yeah.
Now you ran.
I think I ran for like class treasurer when I was like sixth grade or something, maybe. I can't
Ah,
remember. I
put
can't
that on
remember.
your link tree.
Yeah, I think I did that like May, or was it like vice? I don't know what it was. It was something. I ran for something like in sixth grade. It could have been maybe sergeant at arms, I think, was what I ran for like student
Okay.
government. I think I only did that because it said arms. Like I was like, oh, they'll give me a
Ah,
gun.
were you talking about arms as his guns or his arms?
They had a sergeant at arms position. I think that's what it was like in sixth grade. I don't know how I did in that race. I think it was a really tight one.
That's hilarious,
Yeah,
man.
that was my first election, man. I ran for U.S. House in AR2, AR second congressional district, where French Hill currently occupies the office.
Now, you had a fantastic debate during that. That's actually how I found out about you. I had no idea
Apparently,
who you were
people keep
until,
telling me that. Yeah, I mean, so I must have
you
done
know,
well.
you did very well, and your debate was like, oh my God. And please, if you can go back and look at that, you guys, you have no idea what you're missing if you haven't seen it yet. Please go look at it. Where can you find that
You
anymore?
can go on YouTube and you can just Google. I mean, just on the YouTube machine, put in Michael White Libertarian Arkansas debate, AETN, Alpha Echo Tango November, AETN debates 2022, and you'll find it on the list there. My wife looked at it the other day, or was sending the link to somebody the other day because they wanted to watch it, and she goes, "Honey, did you realize like this debate's more watched than even the governor's debate?" Like, I was like, "That's kind of cool." I was like, "All right, man, that's nice." And it's, I mean, that's always, you know, this job, dude, everybody's a critic. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Everybody got something to say about how you should be doing it, but they've never done a damn thing themselves, right?
Which we will touch on later. I don't want to
We're
get
gonna
into
touch on that
that
later.
right now.
But I mean that
There's
dude,
gonna
that's
be a part in this show where we're gonna
yeah.
touch on this because I have something to say to some of my fellow anarchists.
Yes,
You know,
we'll address the anarchist community. But yeah, I mean everybody's always got something to say. And so a lot of this is you're out there pounding pavement, knocking on doors, making phone calls, trying to raise money, putting yourself out there, going to events where you're asked hard questions, I mean, traveling, putting miles in your car, whatever it is. I mean, just, sacrificing your time, your privacy, your finances, all these things to try to advance this cause, right? And there's a lot of negativity out there just in politics in general. So when somebody does say you've done something good, that really does keep you going. I mean, it really does. I mean, so like the fact that my debate of 2022 made the entire thing worth it because I really kind of toward the end of it was like, why am I even doing this? Like, I'm not going to win this all. Like, it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not. And so, man, thanks. That means a lot, dude. It really does.
well, I mean, in that 2022 election cycle, you took the highest percentage out of any libertarian that ran.
I think in a federal
I
three-way
believe.
race, yeah.
I
I
believe
think
yes.
for that cycle, I mean, there had obviously been higher percentages in federal
Yes.
races or other times, but for 2022, I believe that's correct. Yes.
Which you took 5% of the vote, which is a big deal for the libertarians.
4.7, I think, was the number. 4.8 was the final. Yeah. But we'll call it five.
Common core math will tell
We'll
you.
round up, dude. We're gonna call it five. Yeah. That's what we're gonna
But
do.
now here you are, you do the congressional thing in 2022. Now, a lot of people would say running for state representative is a step down
Sure.
from that. But I guess what I'm getting at is why step down from something so, upper tier to something a little more lower tier, which all jobs are important, by the way, when it comes to
Sure.
this.
Yeah. Man, I got like three answers for that. One is it's not really lower tier because of the fact that it's winnable. This took a lot of prayer and a lot of like time to consider if I was going to do this, right? Because little backstory, the way the ballot access law occurred in the 2023 session in Arkansas that allowed us to file in 2024 after the Republicans and Democrats deadlines had ended. We knew as libertarians, because of the way the law was implemented, all the races that were unopposed. Okay. And then we could take all those races that were unopposed and we could line them up with the demographics of the races and say, are there any close districts? Are there any close districts that are unopposed? And lo and behold, the closest district in Arkansas, the one that I live in, was unopposed. And so I have a buddy in the party. His name's Caleb. Shout out Caleb. And Caleb works like for candidate recruitment and stuff. And we had several conversations about this. And I mean, when you consider the fact that you're running a race to win it, it's entirely different than running a messaging race, right? There's a whole nother expectation of commitment, of time. The media is much more prone to be in my face come October than they were in a federal race where you have no chance of winning. And so I really had to pray and consider it if I really wanted to do that, right? That's a big ask. So I actually considered it kind of a bigger thing just because of the nature of it. Now, also, we could say on a level, constitutional level, is this smaller or bigger than this, right? And I could see why people would default to, hey, the federal government's bigger. That's been our thinking about everything, right? But let me
Yeah.
tell you something, Sean. States have got to figure out now how to have a different relationship with the federal government. I mean, I'm talking about right now. And especially red states need to figure that one out. I think the blue states have already just gone and gone full status, full authoritarian. We have bowed down. You have the keys to the kingdom. These red states, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, anybody that basically is a quote unquote red state, man, they got to figure it out. I mean, significantly figure it out because clearly the federal government is not interested in the safety, security, or well being of anybody in this country other than their cronies, their partners, and the people they're doing business with. And that's just the truth. And that's the unadulterated, totally just unbiased truth of the situation, right? You have a state like Texas right now who the federal government says, look, we're not, and this, again, I don't care where you fall on the immigration issue. I don't care. But you have an issue right now where the federal government's saying, yeah, this is our responsibility, but we're not going to do it. But we're not going to let you do it either. In fact, if you try to do it, we're going to use the force and will that we should be using on this issue against you, against the citizens here, right? Think about that upside down inversion of government for a second, right?
Right.
And that sort of issue is going to be occurring everywhere throughout government in the United States of America. I mean, you have a guy in New York that he's going to prison for saving a lady's life on the subway. Like, I mean, what is going on when it comes to government's relationship with the people? And so again, the states gave rise to the federal government. The federal government did not give rise to the states. And we have to find a way to have a new relationship with them where, again, we're not wholly dependent on them for everything. And we just
But I
basically
mean,
say, hey, go pound sand,
we have the 10th Amendment for a reason. A lot of people are like, hey, it's the First Amendment and the Second Amendment, and that's all they ever talk about. We have a
Yeah.
whole list of other amendments that are extremely important, and the 10th Amendment is one of them.
Sean, I think we need to be honest. The Constitution, they might as well burn it. It's done. I mean, there's not a single thing in that document that the federal government is adhering to anymore. We don't have freedom of speech.
Nope.
We don't, the Second Amendment has been tramped on for a long time, right?
They're wiping their ass with it, to be fair.
I literally posted the other day on Facebook, get ready to start having, soldiers staying in your home because they might as well get rid of the Third Amendment. The Fourth Amendment, literally Congress got on television, live TV on C-SPAN, and basically told the American people that Fourth Amendment thing, no, if you knew what we knew, you see, Sean, if you knew what we knew, you would know you can't have that Fourth Amendment when it comes to this. We need to know everything about you to
Right.
keep you safe. Self-incrimination, been gone, right? Every time you file a tax return, you are participating in a compelled activity that's completely against the Fifth Amendment. We can keep on going. But the truth is that none of those matter anymore. They should matter. They should be upheld. But the federal government no longer upholds any of them, which means to me the deal's broken. Like, that's a broken contract, right? I know you say you're a big Spooner fan. I didn't sign
I'm a
shit.
huge Spooner fan.
I know, and I am too, and I really am. I didn't sign shit, and I didn't either, right? But that was supposed to be the idea, that here's the contract between the states and the federal government, and the federal government clearly has said, what the hell is that contract? We're going to break every single one, and what are you going to do? Let's say if you're in a blue state, what are you going to do? Vote Republican? That's what they tell the voters.
Yeah.
And then in a red state like Arkansas, they go, what are you going to do? Vote Democrat? I mean, these Republican congressmen and senators in my state, they could literally do everything against the people, and in many ways they are. They're not getting voted out. They're not getting voted out. because they got that illusion of choice going, man.
Absolutely. And they keep
Yeah.
that illusion of choice through the media. And we can, like, that's a whole different conversation. We got to focus on you right now. So,
Yeah.
like,
We went off in the weeds,
oh,
dude. We're like,
we could go into the desert and talk about what's
man,
going
yeah,
on.
exactly.
But now that you brought that up, why in the hell are you running for state rep then?
I mean, I feel compelled to. I feel like,
But why?
okay, let me tell you why. This is why. Does something feel different about this time in history than any time you've been alive?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I asked that question to 100 people, 99%, 99 people tell me yes. People that have seen a lot more history than you and I have. People that have seen twice the number of decades that you and I have. People who have seen World War II, Vietnam, the Cold War. You know, me and you, probably the single largest event we saw was 9/11, followed by the financial crisis and then COVID. Those are kind of the three big ones that we've had. These people have seen all these things. And something bigger is coming. There is a paradigm shift occurring when it comes to the nature of government and the people. And there is nobody, at least in my opinion, that is holding to the principles that the individual matters more than anything, that is the paramount principle that they have in the halls of quote unquote power, whether you like it or not, when you call it that. And so I feel like I feel compelled to. I feel like I have to. I feel like um, if I have a chance to win an office and I can bring that principle there, why would I not do it? Right. And that was what I came to through kind of through thought, prayer, and discernment was, I felt like God had presented me with this opportunity and said, you know what, Michael, you've talked all these things, right? I've given you these principles. You have this idea about these things. You talk to people about them. Go do it. And now you can't say, it's time to get off, stop complaining, go do it, you know? And so, yeah, I feel compelled to. I feel like that I'm going to be needed, that somebody's going to have to stand up in that legislature in probably 2025 and say, hey, time out. Do y'all remember who the hell y'all work for in here? Right? Do you understand who it is that you work for? The motto of Arkansas is the people rule, not like they're awesome, which they are, but they're supposed to rule, right? Does it
Right.
seem like that? Does it seem like that? Or y'all come in here on your high horse like you rule the people? By decree, you tell them what to do.
Now, I love
Yeah.
that. Now, are you going to be a big pusher of nullification when it comes to serious, federal government intervention, whether it be through the states or through the whole country or however it may work? Like, are you going to be a big advocate for nullification for the state of Arkansas?
Dude, 100%. In fact, the top line, my top of my campaign is you are not government property. That's the top line of my campaign. Subline of my campaign is we have got to change our relationship with the federal government. We are a vassal state in Arkansas. We are dependent on the federal government financially. Our healthcare system, our infrastructure, everything depends on federal dollars, right? We receive more in federal dollars than we pay. That might sound like a great deal, Sean. Like we're getting more than we pay, brother. But when you're beholden to somebody to pay your bills, sugar
Right.
daddies get to beat a lot of sugar babies.
I mean, you see it out in the real world all the time. I
That's
mean,
right. Sugar daddies get to beat a lot of sugar babies. Sugar babies got to put up with a lot because sugar daddy's paying for everything. And the problem is the sugar babies are us, citizens of Arkansas. And the federal government will do what they wish because they control the purse strings. So we have to find a way to begin to unwind that. And that starts with at least talking about it and acknowledging it because nobody in that state house has been acknowledging that fact, right?
right.
And so when you talk about nullification of federal issues, for instance, in West Little Rock, in my district, a gentleman named Brian Malinowski, I would invite every single person on this podcast to Google Brian Malinowski, Little Rock. He was a gun hobbyist. He sold guns at gun shows from a private collection. At some point in time, the ATF decided that he had crossed a threshold. That no number, Sean. There's not like a number like he went from 10 to 11 and now you need to be an FFL. The law doesn't say that. The law basically just said when we think you've become a criminal. And so at some point in time, they thought he'd become a criminal. And at 6 in the morning, armed federal agents right here in West Little Rock in a very nice neighborhood over here, much nicer than mine. I live like in just a normal kind of working class neighborhood. Very nice neighborhood over here. Gates and McMansions and luxury cars, that kind of place. Manicured lawns. Every lawn is like treated and sprayed. All looks like, green carpet, that kind of place. 6 in the morning, armed federal agents executed a search warrant at his house. They knocked one time, so they called it a knock raid. They basically just beat on the door. They covered the Ring doorbell camera. 47 seconds from them beating on the door, he is shot in the head fatally by the ATF.
Jesus Christ.
Because what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Somebody starts breaking in your house at 6 a.m. You're in a stupor. You're waking up. All of a sudden, your door's coming off its hinges. Your wife is right there. What do you do, Sean?
Chitty, chitty, bang, bang, MF.
And oh, by the way, let me tell you the worst part of this. Let me tell you the part that should infuriate everybody. This man was the executive director of the airport. He worked at a place he was guaranteed not to be armed at. And he was going to be at work that day at 9 o'clock. This was meant to be a killing. This was not meant to be anything but a killing, because they knew all too well that any man worth his substance in that situation will react that way. And oh, by the way, they didn't wear any body cameras as they were supposed to per policy. So they claim he shot first, but we don't have any evidence. We don't know. How do we know who shot first? How do we know? And oh, by the way, he's allowed to shoot first because you're breaking into his house.
Hell yeah.
Right? I mean, so we talk about this thing of jury nullification. I mean, not jury, we're going to get to that, but we talk about federal nullification, right? And you realize very quickly, what do you do as a state in that situation? What can the state actually do? Well, one thing is we got to be not dependent on the federal government for money first, because whatever we do, there's going to be ramifications for doing it, right? We got to do that, number one. Then number two, we got to have some sheriffs with some nuts. I'm just going to say it. They need to be able to have some nuts and protect their citizens. And we need to have a state police that will do the same thing. I mean, I know, hey, look, you're an anarchist. I'm a minarchist, right? You know, you're like, hey, we don't need police. I'm of the opinion we're going to have them no matter what. If we're going to have them, they need to be protecting my rights, not trampling on them, which they'll probably end up doing anyway, right? But it wasn't the Little Rock PD that kicked in his door at 6 a.m. And it wasn't the Pulaski County Sheriff's Department that kicked in his door. But they were on scene, and so was the fire department. They participated. They were ancillary to it, right? So, yeah, we got to peel these layers across, and we have to start saying the greatest threat to everyone in America currently is an out-of-control and reckless federal government, period. End of story.
Well, I mean, it all depends on who you ask, which anarchists you ask if there's going to be police or not. Because, like, honestly, like, anarchists aren't necessarily against police. They're not necessarily for police, but they do believe that it should be paid for voluntarily out of the people of the community. You know, like, a lot of people think that anarchists aren't going to have any police and fire and all that stuff. That's not true.
Oh, no, I get that concept. That absolutely, that it would be, there would be a de facto unit that was involved. But
you know,
as far as maybe this, like, as far as a state sanctioned monopoly of force that the police are, which I think we can all agree is probably as good or as bad as the laws they're enforcing, right? I mean, so, but that's where we are, man, is that sort of stuff. So Michael White proposal is, you know, we make a state law that says, look, in state court, you must come, if you are a local law enforcement agency or a local fire and safety agency, outside of an exigent circumstance, meaning an immediate injury or immediate loss of life, to participate in something like this, to be an ancillary service, to be a supportive service, you need to come to one of our judges with a very, very high burden of proof. I mean, really high, like super high, and statutorily high. And the consequences of not doing so are criminal charges to you. Not some little, it might be a Class C misdemeanor, $500 fines. No, these are felony charges. We're going to take this seriously. So the ATF approaches the Little Rock Police Department and says, hey, we're going to raid this guy's house at 6 a.m. They go, well, I can't be there, and none of my officers can be there until Judge so-and-so signs off on this. And oh, by the way, he's got to meet these 10 things. So go ahead. So here, are there hostages in the house? Oh, they're not? Okay. Well, that's probably not going to get happened. Is he about to blow the house up? Oh, he's not going to do that? Okay. Right? So he's got no hostages. He's not immediate threat to anybody in the area. Okay. He works at where? The airport. Oh, so you can apprehend him somewhere else. Okay. What do you say his criminal record is? Oh, he has no criminal record. Oh, okay. All right. What is the crime that he's charged with? Oh, it's not a crime. This is just a search warrant. There, you see how that goes really quickly?
Right.
They go, I'm sorry, you guys can go do this. We can't tell you what to do because you're the feds, but we don't have to help you. And oh, by the way, state law that was sponsored by Michael White and co-sponsored by 10 other members in the House says that we can't do this or we face a felony. So if Judge so and so here doesn't sign off on it, and he's not going to because it doesn't meet these thresholds, sorry guys, have fun, right?
I like that.
And
I like
and
that.
I think what happens in those situations is all of a sudden you realize that if they don't, they know that if they don't have the state and the local municipality support on these issues, things become a little bit different. They become a little bit different, right? They're going into this completely on their own and rogue. And there's going to be a state prosecutor somewhere or state attorney general somewhere who is going to have the gumption to one day file murder charges against some of these people and say, look, on a federal level, so and so violating your ambiguous statute might be a crime, but in the state of Arkansas, murder is a crime. And that falls to the state police and me. And
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
you went and engaged to this without our permission. We did not give you our support and endorsement of this, and you did so at your own risk. You are not immune from murdering our citizens just because you have a badge that says federal law enforcement. Sorry. And that's the beginning of changing that relationship, right? That's the beginning of it. And that happens once or twice in this country, and it will cascade across this country. And state after state after state will get it together. And all of a sudden, that enforcement mechanism backs off. Now all we got to do is work on the money one. We'll see if we can get there, though. If I can get just the enforcement mechanism, I'll be happy. So,
And
yes, long story short, Sean, hell yeah, I'm for nullifying the federal government when it comes to undo. And there's nothing in our state, I feel like, that we could not do better. But they have gotten people so duped into believing that without us, you couldn't do anything. Without us, you couldn't do anything, Sean, without us. Right?
that's the media. That's the federal government. That's their ploy. And one thing is, I want to ask you is, you're running as a libertarian in this race,
Right. Yeah.
in a two-way race, where you probably could have very easily run as a GOP member, and solidified your win in this situation.
To be honest, man, what's interesting is I think I have a better chance of winning as a libertarian than as a Republican on the ballot, because just the way it's going to be, I think that I'm going to, I think the Republican vote will obviously go our way. There's a larger growing independent segment of the polls that now it's about 8%, I think, at last poll, that said they weren't going to vote for either of the two parties. Now that number on election day might be different, but when I knock on doors and the first question people ask me is, "Well, what are you?" Right? And
Right.
I always say, "Well, my name's Michael. I'm a husband and I'm a father and I'm a human being and what else? I
Right.
say, but if you're asking like what party affiliation I have that has given me access to a very controlled ballot, I'm a libertarian. And if you have questions about what that means, let's talk about that. And people go, okay, well, good, because I'm not voting. Like I've heard that from many, many people that they are just fed up with the two-party system. And again, it's easy to say that when they don't have to worry about throwing a vote away. We always know that on election day, when you become that third choice, it's a different thing, right? But I mean, I think we offer them a really compelling opportunity for change. So we're excited about it.
You definitely do. Now, the funny thing is about all of this, right? And it's not really funny, but it is funny to me just because I am who I am. And a lot of us who are in anarchist libertarians, whatever, will say the same. Right off the rip, when you decided you were going to run for this chair, right? Your opponent, Ashley Hudson, I had to make sure I got her name right,
Right. That's her name.
came after you right away. Said,
Yeah.
labeled you as an extremist. Like, this
Yeah.
extremist is running against me,
Yeah.
and we can't have this, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to put it verbatim, but like she called you an extremist out loud.
She called me an anti-government extremist.
Oh, even better.
Is what she called me. And she's going to regret calling me that. And I have made it a point to make it her regret calling me that, because we have used it as a benefit to us in every single conversation, town hall, discussion, radio appearance we have had. Because if I'm extreme, Sean, I am very far from her. Right?
Right.
Okay. So here's what I believe. I believe that you own yourself. I believe the government is supposed to work for you, not you work for it. I believe that you're supposed to have voluntary consent when it comes to things about your life, your body, your property, right? Apparently, that's extreme, which means that my opponent is very far away, and she believes that no, you're the government's property. They should be first in line to your paychecks before your charities, your churches, your family. They have claim to your property, not you. And it is by our benevolence as government. You're allowed to do things. You don't have rights. You have privileges as long as you behave yourself. So yeah, if I'm obviously extreme to that position, I'm obviously way far away from you. And you're right. The government we have right now operates that way, Ashley. So yes, I'm anti that government. That's correct. So yeah.
Wow, that sounds so extreme. Wow,
Yeah, I
I'm
can't
pretty
believe that
taken back by this. I'm scared. No,
she
I'm just
hasn't
kidding,
said it
guys.
again. She hasn't said it again. And to her credit, I don't think she really kind of knew what she was getting into with the conversation about that, right? I think that somebody probably told her to say that. Some party apparatchik somewhere was like, hey, it's those crazy libertarians, this is what we'll just dismiss them as. And she didn't realize, oh, like this is actually a well thought, articulate individual who really considers his policy and positions very carefully, in light of limited constitutional government. And maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Well, you know what sounds extreme to me?
What's that?
Very extreme. Rep Hudson stated on the Capitalist View that Miss Ashley Hudson doesn't even read the bills and or understand the bills.
Yeah,
Why?
that's an interesting one.
Please,
So
please tell me how that's not extreme. So this woman is passing bills and laws that she's never read or understood. I mean, who's the extremist in the matter in here now? Please explain this to me. I
and it
need.
seems a little bit extreme that you're able to just admit it, right? So Capitol View, for those that aren't listening, for those that don't know, is a political show in Arkansas that takes place at the Capitol. It's Capitol issues. It covers politics in Little Rock, Arkansas, for the state of Arkansas, and it is hosted by a gentleman named Roby Brock, who's a very nice guy, and it's on broadcast television, one of the major stations. Good show, big audience. In the 2023 legislative session, the state house passed a law that restricted municipalities and counties' ability um, to permit, to modify, to oversee, to obligate any crypto mining facility. Okay, because this crypto mining thing had happened out in like Faulkner County, okay, which is north of here. This Chinese company, because we got real cheap electricity here in Arkansas. And this Chinese company opened up this crypto mining thing. And then apparently, like the neighbors down the road now are like, holy hell, this thing's really loud, right? And they like, so, but there's a law that was passed that wouldn't let Faulkner County make an ordinance about like a noise or anything like that. So the law had to be redone in this session. They had to go back to it again, basically, which happens quite frequently. And she appeared on Capitol View, and she basically just said, I didn't know what crypto mining was. I didn't really understand it. And then she kind of giggles about that, right? Um, that is incredibly dangerous to me. That there's a lack of respect for government force and coercion, so much so it's just like, haha, yeah. Government force can ruin lives. It can throw people in cages. It can take away businesses. It can separate families. It literally can murder people with immunity and impunity. It should be incredibly respected. So much so that it's like, oh, I don't even know if I want to touch that. That should be the default position, right, Sean? I think we can both agree on that. As a minarchist and an anarchist, hey, this is like yellow cake uranium, right? Don't drop that shit, right? Like, don't drop that. Like you got to be really, really careful.
Stop
And
it.
yeah, and she doesn't have that respect for it clearly. And again, I'm not going to hold that against her personally. I think that it comes from a place of how you were raised, what you consider to be good governance, and I just have realized in my life that there is no such thing as good government. There's just small or large. It's like, there's no good or bad firearm. There's just they're deadly. There's some that are more deadly than others.
Right.
But, it's who's holding them and what they're being used for. And the truth is, government is so powerful that it needs to be as small as possible because eventually somebody bad will be holding it. Truth.
And that's the thing. Like no matter, you can look in any history book. I don't care what history you're reading. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
One thing is true is that no matter what, said government's intentions were, it always turned into big government, no matter what. It just always turned into big government, more
Yeah.
war, more spending, more printing of money if they were able to do that back then, when it comes to ancient times or whatnot. They didn't necessarily print money back in the day because they didn't have the ways to do it. But what they would do is shave off little pieces of gold and silver.
Oh yeah, man. They've always been trying to find
No,
ways to get around the system, man. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I
people have
mean,
been robbing you, governments and bureaucrats have been robbing you blind this whole time, even since 1776. You bring up the Constitution earlier and how it means
yeah.
nothing. I, as much as, I used to believe that the Constitution was this piece of gold that protected us. I don't feel that way anymore.
It's only protecting if the people believe in it. It's like everything comes down to fiat, even gold.
Right,
Everything in the world comes down to belief. The only thing that doesn't come down to belief is violence. Violence is real whether you believe in it or not. Like, you don't believe you don't believe this is going to hurt. Let me show you it hurts, right?
right,
And so violence is the reality. Everything else is belief. Protection is belief. Honor is belief. Faith is belief. Adherence to principle is belief. And so the founding fathers, as flawed as they were, they're not perfect people, but they understood this idea of turning divine kingship on its head was going to be a constant and renewed activity. That the natural order was for it to go back the other way, for you to be subservient, for it to be all powerful, for you to have none. And the a mass of resources and violence would find its way into one person, right? And you would just have to cower in fear and do whatever that person said. And we're slowly getting back to that in America. And in fact, we're literally pretty close to there. I mean, I don't think there's anybody that can give you a unbiased opinion that would say that we don't have that here in America. I mean, I don't feel like the government works for me. I mean, when's the last time you had a positive interaction with government? I ask this question when I knock on voters' doors too. I say, hey, when's the last time you had a positive interaction with government? And it's amazing. People go, and they'll just sit there. I mean, and they're like, oh, man.
because they can't answer the question.
And then, and they go, and I sit there. I'm like, yeah. It's like, I mean, that's the truth. And so, because I think that I like to meet people where they are, and I'm pretty good at it. And I meet a lot of Democrats, a lot of Republicans, a lot of independents, and of course, Democrats, because there's a Democrat incumbent, and I'm not the Democrat or the most skeptical of me. And we have the best conversations. I have the best conversations with Democrat voters. Like we have some of the best ones, because the truth is, outside of Twitter and Facebook and social media, people are willing to talk. We just don't meet and talk anymore. We don't have third places anymore. We go to work and home. That's it. There's no community square, right? The community square is on this damn thing here, right? Where you can be rude and not have any manners and, talk with your mouth full and, sit there in your underwear and have a conversation arguing with somebody you don't know, you know. But you meet them at the door, these people who have voted maybe Democrat their whole life or Republican their whole life have essentially not realized that they've been party to authoritarianism. And you ask them those kind of questions and they go, I never thought about it like that. And if I hear I've never thought about it like that, I know I've done my job. Like I know that's like my winning phrase. When I hear that, I'm like, thank you very much. I really appreciate your vote. And I've had a number of Democrats who even say, I disagree with you politically on everything, but I'm going to vote for you just because you took the time to talk to me. And you did so with respect and admiration for my beliefs. And I said, yeah. I said, one thing about being a libertarian is I don't believe in forcing anything on you. That's what this whole thing's about. And they're like, oh man. I'm like, yeah. I was like, worst case scenario, if you had all libertarians in the state house, we would just leave you alone. Like we leave you alone. That would be basically it. And
Except half of them wouldn't be real libertarians, but that's
that's
besides.
right. They wouldn't be real libertarians.
Half of them wouldn't be real
They
libertarians.
wouldn't be, and I don't even, yeah. I mean, golly, talk about that. That's going to be a great one.
Oh my God. That
You
needs
know,
to show in itself, because I'm going to be working on something like that. But now I have a very hard question to ask you,
okay, fair enough. Good.
a hard one.
All right.
And as your friend, I feel compelled to ask you this.
Okay.
A lot of people, who are looking to government to help them or to protect them, you know, that requires transparency.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're walking into a game like, honestly, the political game is dirty, it's rotten, it's foul, it is vile, rotten to the core. Like, people don't understand how bad the political industry is until they're into it or get involved in something that, you know, requires knowing what they do.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to come a time, Mike, where you get elected and there's going to be somebody that comes into your office, because your job is to enact bills, it's to make resolutions as a state representative.
Essentially, yeah.
That's your deal.
Right.
Somebody is going to walk into your office one day and say, hey, Mike, I really need you to vote this way on this. And if you do it, because they're going to know that you're the libertarian who's going to make or break, you know, whether something passes or not. Because
Right.
a lot of things, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of things happen in government through
On
one
very
vote.
slim margins.
One
Yes.
vote. It could be that easily through one vote.
Right.
Now, there's going to be a time where somebody's going to know you're against something that they're voting on.
Right.
And they're going to come to your office and say, Mike, here's X amount of dollars. This is going to happen. This will happen in your political career. I guarantee it.
Yeah. I don't,
we need you to do this for us, and we're going to give you $1 million cash.
Yeah.
Here you go.
So I'm sure that everybody has a price, Sean. I'm not going to sit here on my high horse and say, like, even Michael White doesn't have a price. I mean, somebody offered me $1 trillion. I'm probably like, man, okay, well, I guess, I can, I mean, I'm saying, let's be honest. I'm just saying, let's be honest. But even then, man, if I don't have my reputation, I don't have anything, dude. And I'm a happy guy in my life. There's nothing outside. I got everything I need and most of the things I want. I don't want anything like that. And I certainly don't want ill-gotten gains. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I want to do this to basically be able to say no a lot. That's what I feel like a good libertarian in the state house is supposed to do, is they're supposed to be the no guy. And everyone in that room needs to know that, well, if you bring it to Michael, his first answer is going to be no. Like, that's going to be his first answer. You have to show him why this is a valid use of government force, right? Because everything that comes through there is government force. Every single thing is, right? So that's what I'd hope that we can get started, and that the people start to realize that, hey, in this chorus of voices where there's Democrats and Republicans, kind of two sides of authoritarianism a little bit, right? Although there are some good Republicans in the state house. We got about 10 or so that I would consider to be kind of libertarian leaning. But they go, hey, we just need one or two voices there that are like, no, you got to, my default to is freedom and liberty for the individual. Why? And I don't think there's really a number that can make me not do that. Even $1 trillion or a quadrillion, it wouldn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because if we don't start changing these things, dude, my kids, your kids, people, I mean, it's over, dude. It's chat. Like, that's it. Game, set, match, man.
And that's, man, thank you for saying that, because like, people don't understand, like, they're like in it for the now. They're like, hey, we got to take care of some shit now. But they don't think about the generations that follow behind them, because, whether it be boomers, boomers are on their way out. I hate to be mean like that, but like, boomers are on their way out. They only got so much time.
Man, I'm a big believer in legacy, man. Like, I'm not going to make it out of here alive. You're not going to make it out of here alive.
Oh.
I want in 100 years people to say, like in a social studies class, and Michael White was the first libertarian elected to the Arkansas State House, and he was a great man. He never was caught in corruption. He never did this. He was like, that's more important to me than you write me a check, dude. I mean, what are you gonna write me a check for? I drive a 1998 4Runner. I don't need a new car. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like fishing out a canoe. I don't care about your damn boat. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what do I need in my life so much that you can, corrupt my character? And apparently we have people that just don't value their character at all, and it's easily bought. And I mean, that's actually really sad, to be honest.
And this is going to be the part where I pump you up really hard. Wow, that sounded terrible. Holy shit. Anyways, that sounded terrible. Not like that, you guys. I know, most of my listeners probably have their mind in the gutter. That sounded terrible. Sorry.
No, it's pretty funny though. Yeah.
Anyways, not to be gay, but like, not that that's bad.
There's anything wrong with that. I mean, you can do
whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? Just don't hurt people and don't take their stuff. We're not asking a lot.
That's right.
But like, dude, like you as a person, because we're friends, and I know about you. Um, you don't have to do this. You've made a life for yourself where like you don't need to do this. You don't need to run for office. You don't need to
No,
work. You know,
no.
you've set yourself up in a situation to where like this is something that you want to do. It's not something you're trying to get ahead for or anything like that. You're fine financially. You have done good for yourself in that sense.
Yeah, I mean,
Which
I'm not
absolutely
independently
love.
wealthy, but I've done well enough that I don't have to work. I mean, I retired early in my life. Yeah, this isn't like I think that people get into this for the wrong reasons, man. And I don't want to name names, but I spent some time at the Capitol during the last session just meeting lawmakers. And like I said, I met some really good ones who I could tell were in this for the right reason. And then there were some I met that I could tell this was all about them. This is all about them. What can I get out of this? And as long as we keep having that, man, things ain't getting better. They ain't, I know that. I know that. I don't know if limited government's the answer out of our problems. And that's really sort of the debate between minarchist and anarchist. Um, and I don't know that that's the answer, but I know that as long as you're electing selfish assholes who want everything to be about them, they're not getting us out of it. They're not getting us out of it. When you got people like Pelosi, who, I mean, do, do you think that she's in this for you, Sean?
No.
Do you think Gretchen Whitmer is in this for you?
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
Name's
Yeah.
Gretchen Hitler, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, so I mean, is Gavin Newsom in this for you? I mean, and I mean, it's amazing to me there's people that think that, like, that they've bought into that narrative. I mean, just ask, like, how does somebody that makes like I think the state rep salary is like 40,000. I don't even know what it's like, maybe 30. I don't know. It's something low. I don't know. It's not like something great. How do those people end up with so much stuff?
By what I just brought up, by
Yeah.
somebody coming into your office saying, "Hey, I need you to do me this
I
favor.
want to I
I'm
want to
going to
be
pay
known
you
as like the guy
$100."
that like the lobbyists just don't talk to. Like I want to be known as like the guy that they're like if it doesn't involve expanding individual freedoms and liberties, don't bring this up to him. Like I want them to avoid it. I want to have that reputation that they avoid me. That they're like, oh man, when you get this into committee, y'all don't talk about it like this because Michael White's gonna. And the good thing is, I'm gonna read everything I possibly can. And another thing we need to do, one of the most important things every legislature could do, Sean, is slow down the process. Dude, we're passing too many damn laws in this country. Everything does not need to be legislated. Like every single little thing doesn't need a new bill. The second that boat crashed into the bridge, the ship in Baltimore. I mean, it was 10 minutes later. People were
Oh,
like,
dude,
"We
all
need new
kinds of
legislation.
laws.
We need new legislation. We need new regulations. We need to create a secretary of the boats and the bridges. Then we need to go ahead and fund it. And we need to make a tax on it." And I was like, "Dude, calm down. Like, not every single tragedy needs government to compound it. In fact, I would argue that most of the problems we have today in government are because of knee jerk reaction legislations we made during periods of crisis. I mean, look at the CARES Act. I mean, look, I mean, dude, everybody's complaining about inflation, both Democrats and Republicans. I don't remember anybody except for liberty-minded individuals like me and you going, "Hold up, guys. Don't you realize what this is going to do? You can't just print $7 trillion overnight and not expect massively bad ramifications for the economy. So much so that you might actually kill the economy eventually. This can be a fatal shot of adrenaline to the heart. You don't understand what you're doing. No, well, I mean, Sean, we got to do it. The nurses and the people and the grandmothers, you must be with the virus. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you're like, no, that's not what I'm saying at all. And the Patriot Act. I mean,
FISA 702,
yeah,
Patriot Act
FISA court,
2.0.
yeah. I mean, just go down the list every time that we have something that happens, and it's not just tragedies. I believe fundamentally that we have slowly been spellbound into thinking a lot of people that no matter what, the government has to be involved. No matter what, like that's the answer, and we have to stop thinking like that. And that's not going to happen until we got people in those places that are like saying, "Hey, time out. Why are we doing this?" And I want to be known as that guy too. I want to be known as like the guy, like every committee meeting, Michael White's going to basically say, why are we doing this? You know, and I mean, I want to be the no guy, the why guy, and don't bring me any bullshit guy.
Well,
Like,
we
and I
talked
think I'll
about
be doing
this
a
on one
job.
of our past shows where like it's all about being disruptive. Be the disruptive guy and be the guy that, you know, everybody else in the government is like, do we need to be here today? You had said something about
I
this on
said that about like for
one of my
anarchist
shows.
individuals who were like, you know, they just, I'm like, you could just be that guy. If you got elected to office, you could just be that guy.
Like, do you
And
want be the guy who says like, you know, has everybody else saying, hey, do we want to deal with Michael White today? Like, do we really want to go deal with this guy today? Because ain't nobody got time for this. And
right.
so we're just gonna bypass this today.
Well, and
You know,
iron sharpens iron too, man. Like, you know, like I said, there's a handful of legislators that I've met that I feel like see things my way. They're just scared to act my way because of sort of party politics, so to speak, you know? And so just running some bills by them, just like, you know, kind of having lunch and talking. And because I spent like a whole week at the Capitol, bell to bell, just meeting lawmakers, introducing myself. Hey, I'm running for office in 75, you know, had lunch with people, sat outside meeting rooms with people and talked to them. And, you know, talked about stuff like jury nullification instructions in state court. This guy goes, man, I've been thinking about introducing that, but I'm worried that like the Judiciary Committee go on me and did whatever. I said, well, what if I introduced it? Yeah, I mean, I think we could probably get some co-sponsors. I was like, okay, defend the guard,
oh my
same
God.
same kind of thing, right? Um, so those are good pieces of legislation. Those are legislation that expand your rights, that put government back in its rightful place, right? Um, and I feel like again, a lot of these people are just scared to do it. I think the party exists to make sure they don't, Sean. I mean, look at Speaker Johnson. Dude,
Oh man.
this guy's from my hometown, man. I remember when he got in there, dude, the local radio station here was like, he's gonna be really good. I'm like, you're gonna get more of the same. And so I'm hoping they don't put Massey in the position because I think he would be the same way. I don't think these guys have any choice. I don't think they have any choice. I really don't. I think they get up there and somebody comes to them and says, you know what? This is how it is, man. And so again, I think it's time to just be done with the federal government. It's not getting better.
You are
It's
100.
not getting better. It's not there's not enough money, willpower, or ability to elect enough people to the Congress and the Senate and then the massive administrative state that we have that really runs the government. These people are just, dude, man, they're just the face on the front door. They're the employee of the month. They're not cooking the stuff. They're not the suppliers. They're not nothing. And so yeah, we got to get
Do
that
you mind
changed.
if I go on a rant for a minute? I feel
Sure,
like
dude, go on a rant. I
for a
like going
minute.
on rants.
So here's the thing, man. So, you know, I'm all for abolishing the federal government and letting the states run as they see fit, right? Like
Right.
that's as an anarchist, I want to see it all gone, but as a step forward, I see the a better place being where the federal government is obsolete and the states run as they see fit. And as a matter of fact, the 10th Amendment states that that's the way it's supposed to be. The way the Constitution is written, if you're a believer in said piece of paper, is that the states should run as they see fit. The problem is this, the federal government has so much power that they can say, hey, if you don't abide by our principles, we are going to pull your federal funding.
Yeah.
Which cuts everything off from the states at that point. And that's not the way it should be. So here's my rant. You get the right people in your state office, whether it be your governor, state representative, Congress, Senate, whoever it may be, the state legislature. You can go down all the way down to a township and or like city ordinance or whatever it may be. Like, hey, we are going to nullify everything these people are going to say. But in return, you also have to make sure your state and or township, city, whatever it may be, is financially capable of doing things. You can't be like the state of Texas, who's going to be like, we're going to nullify from the federal government. And then all of a sudden a winter storm blows through and they're begging for federal money.
Right.
You're full of
Yeah.
shit. You're not ready.
Yeah.
Okay. That's my rant. So like, here's the thing. You can nullify, you can decentralize, but you also need to make sure you have some monies to piggyback what they're giving to you, because otherwise there's going to be a lot of people who are screwed in the matter.
No, dude, that's a completely founded rant. Like, I mean, an independent people make choices that benefit them. A dependent people are forced into choices that benefit the person that pays for everything. And that's just the truth. That's just how systems work, man. And so, yeah. I mean, name something right now that the average person doesn't think the government has to be involved in.
They
And then
don't.
when you think about that thing, then think about how much the federal government's involved in it. I mean, so I saw this the other day that basically the amount of money like the government spending, like the federal government spending, it's like 200 million people, like earning, $100,000 a year or something. Like how is that not enough money? You know what I mean? Like in a 6 month period, how's that not enough money to get things done? Right? Where's all this going? What is happening here? Like, I don't know, Sean. We get to these places in our talks where I do this like I don't know thing because I get to where I just get very frustrated with the absurdity of some of it. Like I get frustrated with the absurdity of some of the questions and the ponderings. I had a conversation the other day. A gentleman was talking about Israel. Okay. And Arkansas is a very religious state. So this is a contentious issue because there are some Christians who feel almost an obligation. And there are some who say, well, that's not the biblical Israel. And then there are some who think something else. And so it's like any other dinner table in America. There's just many, many different viewpoints. And I say dinner tables in the social dinner table. And I said, okay, let's assume that you're correct. And we should be giving tons and tons and tons of money to Israel. I said, how do you even know it's going there? I was like, why would you even trust that it's going there? And like, what do you mean? I was like, dude, we got a Pentagon that can't pass a damn audit and never does. In fact, they don't even care to anymore. They don't care because you're not going to do anything about it. They can lose trillions of your dollars, and guess what? You'll still show back up here at this lunch table and defend them to me and say, well, we got to do this. You don't even know where the money's going. How do you even know that money goes there? You don't. What do you know? What is it being used on? You don't. What about the person who told you all this? Are they telling you the truth? You don't. And guess what? If they lied straight to your face, you'd probably still vote for them because they're not the other party you're more scared of. Right? And I
Right.
basically said, here's the deal. I said, the reason this conversation started with why are third parties important? Why should libertarians be on ballots? Okay. And I said, this is why we should be on ballots because I want to be a moment of truth to you and the other people in this country to understand you are getting the government you deserve. You continue to put short-term comfort over long-term gain. All you need to do is one cycle, exercise your God-given right to critical thinking and choice, go in there and choose as you see fit, and to hell with the consequences. So what if the Democrat gets in office? Guess what? That guy that you don't like, he's out. 2 years later, you get to have another guy. The Republicans can put up somebody else who maybe actually believes in your principles. And guess what? That guy knows you're willing to vote him out. That guy knows you're willing to say, you know what? We won't have the Democrat in here if you don't do your job. I was like, so that's the problem. That's why we're on the ballot. We're on the ballot because you're supposed to be choosing us when these people fail to deliver the things that they tell you they're going to do. And they don't. And then you come back up here and you defend them to me. I was like, you sound to me like a mother of a drug addict who doesn't understand tough love. You ever met somebody like that? Their son is just completely strung out. He's stealing from everybody. He's a bane on the town. He's untrustworthy. I mean, you know these people. And there's these mothers out there that like, he's a sweet boy. He's just going to get it together. He told me he was going to work today. And I'm like, lady, this guy's been lying to you for 20 years. He's been stealing from you for 20 years. And you still default to, I trust him. You can love the system. You can think that America and limited government is great. You can think that. And in fact, I still believe in the system. I think that limited government does work. But golly, man, hold these people accountable. Hold these people accountable.
But like, and that's part of the problem though. So this is where we are today. Like at a certain point, the American people, and I've said this a lot of times, the American people need to take some kind of responsibility for today's government because they've allowed it to happen. Let's not forget that people died over a 2% tax over tea.
Yeah.
that happened. Like, this is a real thing. That's kind of what we celebrate as Americans, right?
Right.
Here we are getting bent over. They don't even spit on it before they freaking take us, right? And I'm trying to keep it PG for you because this is
Right.
about you. But like, they're doing these things, and but like, dude, and nobody does anything. They just bend over and take it. They're like, well, hopefully you spit on it, right? No, this isn't the way to go. You need to stand up for yourself. You need to make sure your state representatives are holding, your state accountable and holding your state up to a standard, and make sure your governors and your local people are like making sure you're bringing money into your town and in your state. You need to make sure that there's actual gains coming into your district.
All people need to do is hold their representatives, because democracy is only about choosing a representative. The left loves to say democracy, democracy, democracy. Democracy is not for making every decision. Democracy is literally just, in this country, supposed to be for just the guy that's going to show up at the meeting at the city council. That's all it's for, right? All the people need to do is be willing to fire them when they're not happy with them. Like, be willing to fire them when you're not happy with them. That's it. That's all. I had a guy at my company who stole money from me, and he was a great salesperson. He was wonderful. But I found out he had been like paying customers bills. Like, he'd been taking the cash for their bill payment and then paying it through some other method that would now later, like 7 days later, charge back on us. And he'd done this for like 2 weeks, and he'd stolen like $1,000 or $1,200. This is a great employee. I had to fire him, Sean. I had to fire him. And you know what? I probably went through 3 or 4 really crappy employees before I replaced him with somebody good. But what kind of company would I have if I let every single employee I have just steal from me? Would I even have a company in 10 years or 5 years or 1 year?
You wouldn't have anything within 9
And
months.
that's what's happening in America. And that's what's happening right now. People are too scared to fire the people who are stealing from them and lying from them and then wondering why they're losing everything. Be willing to put up with 3 or 4 bad people. Be willing to say, you know what? I don't know who this guy is, this Sean Collins on my ballot who's a libertarian. But you know what? My Republican representative has been screwing me every time. He got on TV the other day, honey. He said we didn't have any Fourth Amendment rights. That's it. You're gone. You're gone. You swore to uphold the Constitution. You literally just didn't. You're a liar. You're gone. That's theft. That's dishonest. You're gone. Right? You can't hold these people accountable. You tell me that I have to pay you money. You throw me in a cage. If I don't, you're first in line to my paycheck, and then trillions disappear, and I'm just supposed to take it? And you want to know when I get $600 or more in my damn Cash App? You're gone. You're gone. If that would just happen, me and you wouldn't be talking right now.
This podcast wouldn't even matter.
And I would love that. Anything. I would rather we be talking about fishing or music.
Hell yes.
Or something like that. And that's what we'd be doing, because people would be exercising that choice that they have. And so that kind of wraps up what we were talking about earlier in the pregame about, minarchism versus kind of anarchism. And a lot of the anarchy crowd, I feel like, just wants to complain. That's all they want to do. They don't actually want to fix anything, because if they fixed anything, they built their whole identity on just complaining. They're the most inactive activist I've ever seen in my life. Like, they don't do anything. They don't get off the couch. They don't talk to people. They don't engage people. And the people who do, like me and the Larry Sharps and Lars Mapsteads of the world, and people who are trying to get out there, all they do is tear us down and say, well, you're joining the system. Well, I'm trying to fix shit, dude. You're just complaining about it. Voting's not going to get us out of this. Well, not with that attitude, it's not going to. No, it's not. Because you're just perpetuating the system. So go ahead and just, whoever the most hated politician you got is, go buy one of their signs and put it in your yard. Donate to their campaign, because that's what you're doing. You're just, and that's really my problem with the anarchy community right now, is you're one of the good ones, man. You're one of the good ones that I can talk to, and we can have a real conversation. Because like you always say, hey, on the road to Ancapistan, we got to stop off at Libertyville, right?
Yeah, Libertarianville.
Yeah, we kind of know that there's this thing here, right? But the rest of them are just like, I don't even know why they're in the park. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know. I don't have any idea. Like, if you're so against everything, why are you even on Facebook, dude? Like, why are you even, what, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, Let's dig into this right now, because I happen to be a radical anarchist. In my perfect world, in my own mind, like we don't need the state. Like we could do this on our own. But as somebody who has a brain and who has studied the way our government works and knows how things goes, you can't just go from what you have today into an anarchist society. It would be catastrophic. Thousands, tens of thousands of people would die, which, if you're for that, you are not an anarchist, because the last thing you want to do as an anarchist is just let people suffer and die. That's not part of the thing. It's about building communities. That's what anarchy is about, is building communities, not tearing them down. Now, you shared a thread with me that happened to you over the weekend, and it resonated with me, and I'm glad you brought this up, because I used to be that person that was yelling at you, right? You get all pumped up. You read some Lou Rockwell, or you read some Robert Nosnick, you read some Michael Malice, and you think you know everything there is to know about fucking anarchy, right? And you think, you're just gonna have these things, no matter what, and this is just gonna be the way it is, and there's gonna be no suffrage involved. You're sadly mistaken. Sadly, big time. And if you're actually for that, you're not a serious person. As a matter of fact, if you're an anarchist and attacking somebody like a Michael White or a Larry Sharp or whoever it may be who is a minarchist, right? You're damaging your own cause. You really are. Because there needs to be a step in between what we have now into what the North Star is, which is Ancapistan. Ancapistan, in my mind and in my beliefs and in my heart, is the North Star. That's where we need to be. Okay? Because
and I think that is an agreeable position, because ultimately I think that idea of perfection should be everyone's North Star. And right, what is the most perfect relationship with government? The most perfect relationship, sort of in the Aristotle sense, where there's like in the divine, there's a perfect relationship. That a perfect relationship would be you didn't need one, right? Because everyone would respect everyone's rights, like that. And so that's it's illogical not to admit that. I don't care what your governmental beliefs are. I would think that would be where you would think the ideal is that, no, let's say you're a communist or you're a socialist or I don't know, whatever it is, you'd be like, but ideally I wouldn't want the state to have to make everybody throw their money in one pot. Everybody just would. I think they would, to be honest. But some socialists don't think so, because they wouldn't voluntarily do it, right? But yeah, that should be everyone's North Star, I think. And so that's why I don't understand it, man. I don't understand the tearing down of the people out there trying to do it. Like, and there's a pretty big Twitter account that, like, I see sometimes, and it's just like, I'm like, you have a big enough audience, you should be supporting people. Like, instead, you're just out here just shitting on the liberty community, and that's like your claim to fame. You believe you're better by not doing anything. And in your inaction, you rail against everybody playing the game. It's pathetic, in my opinion. Like, it's honestly pathetic.
It's damaging to their own cause, honestly. So
Yeah.
You have somebody out there like because you're running for office, who's like, yeah, we need to end the Fed. We need to end the wars. We need to end the empire, which are all things that anarchists are like, yes, we need to get behind this. But instead, they're going to go down there and tear you down and be like, you're part of the problem.
Yeah.
It's damaging to the cause in itself.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous. And they're not serious people. The
No,
people
they're
who
not.
are tearing down libertarians, the anarchists who are tearing down libertarians, cannot be taken seriously. They're not serious individuals. There's no way. They're either texting or they're messaging or whatever it may be from their mother's basement, or from some shit 1-bedroom apartment in the ghetto somewhere where they think they know something. Dudes, like I said, I was once one of you. I used to attack people I agreed with all the time, which literally, I just said that. I attack people that I agreed with all the time. But for what? Why are you doing that? You're literally going after somebody who has the same beliefs as you do. They just think a little bit differently. So you're telling me, like, hypothetically, hey, we agree with 80% of the messaging, but hey, because of the other 20% we don't agree with, you're a piece of shit? No.
Yeah.
You are not a serious individual. You're not. And I'm sorry.
It's like looking back at a wall that's colored, that's been painted a certain color. You're a painter, and saying, I hate that color of paint on the wall. and then admonishing a guy for picking up a paintbrush and trying to make it a different color and saying he's part of the problem because he's holding paint, right?
Right.
Paint's not the problem. That's not the problem. Paint's not the problem. There's always going to be paint in the world somewhere, right? The
Right.
problem is that your ass is just never going to be happy. And you don't really want to be happy. You just want to, like I said, just these people just want to be negative. That's all they want to do, man. They remind me of like, I don't know, dude. You ever like you met those people who like to them, they'll watch a UFC match with you and they're like, oh, dude, I'd have done that. He'd been knocked out already, and they're like 45 pounds overweight and like probably can't walk from the table to the bathroom without wheezing. You met those people?
Yeah,
Like,
those are the
those.
guys I ask if they want to wrestle, and I usually choke them out pretty quick.
Yeah, that's who they remind me of, man. That's who these people remind me of. But some of these races out there, man, they're going to be close in the future. I think if we do our job well, liberty catches on. More and more people want more choices on their ballots, and some of these people are going to be the difference between people winning and losing. And like they need your support. Like if you should not like the same things they don't like, and because of that, support them. Don't be tearing them down. So yeah, that's our rant on inactive activist in the anarchist community. Um, yes. And again, there's just as many in the minarchist community, I think, that we could rail against too, but I'm not going through that today. We're running out of time. So.
Well, that's the thing, but like honestly, you guys, like if you're an anarchist right now, and even if you consider yourself a hardcore anarchist, ANCAP, radical anarchist, whatever, if you yourself sits in that position and is against a minarchist society compared to what we have right now, you're not a serious person. I can't take you seriously. And I probably just pissed off about half my crowd, by the way, by saying that.
I don't think you did. I think they need to understand, like, we and you were saying the same thing. I think minarchists and people like you who are an anarchist are saying the same thing. The reason I'm a minarchist is because I believe that that's the best practical place we actually get to. And I would still say, hey, there's a better there. But, I'm not going to let best be the enemy of good, right? I mean, like, what we have now is bad. It's bad for everybody. What we have now is bad. Unless you're one of the people at the top who is running everything, things are bad. I mean, trust me, if I guarantee you most of the people who are anarchists today, if we were living in a minarchist society, they wouldn't be anarchists because they wouldn't have anything to be pissed about. They'd be like, oh yeah, man, things are pretty good. Okay. Like that's kind of where I am with it is if you had a voluntarily funded society as much as possible, you had an ultimate arbiter in the court system that basically held people accountable for wrongs, and you had some sort of enforcement mechanism that dealt with laws as long as they were just, but a citizen mechanism for nullifying them on demand. I think that's probably the best you ever get. And I think we get there for a couple years, and dude, we'll start this whole cycle all again, man. We were told this was going to happen over and over and over and over. There is no set and forget, dude. There is no set and forget. It's just there's nothing in the world that doesn't require maintenance, even your nature and relationship with government. It's going to have maintenance. Yeah.
You are damn right. Now, that being said, I'm a radical anarchist and I want to know how to donate to your campaign because I believe in what you're doing.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for doing that. Don't visit MW, the number 4 liberty.com. That's MW4liberty.com, like modern warfare 4 liberty.com. That's Mike Whiskey 4, number 4 liberty.com. And there's a donate page there. You can give up to $3,300 in this election. And there have been a couple of max donations that our campaign has received. We are up against a well-funded Democrat opponent. She's going to raise probably around $100,000. So we need some money. We got to buy ads. We got to buy TV. We need to buy mailers and door hangers and paid canvassers. And we're doing the real thing here. So definitely help us out. It's my birthday month too, by the way, Sean. So my birthday's in a couple days. So hey, if you're listening to this and you like me, throw a couple bucks my way for my birthday.
You know what? Hold this show down for a second because I'm in the middle of filling out my donation to you. So please.
Oh, wow, Sean,
going.
thanks, man.
Please
I'll keep
going
talking.
right
So see, Sean is one of the good anarchists here, right? He is not going to let his ideals be so philosophically bound that he's of no earthly good. He is actually helping affect positive change in the world here, starting in Arkansas. Sean, people ask me, why, if I live in Illinois, if I live in Missouri, if I live in Mississippi, if I live in Arkansas, why would I mean not Arkansas? If I live in Virginia, why would I care about a race in Arkansas? Because this is the brush fire of freedom that starts to light others on fire. People go, oh, a libertarian won in Arkansas. A libertarian can win in Virginia. A libertarian can win in Mississippi. A libertarian can win here. I'm not going to let you down, folks. So yeah, MW, the number 4liberty.com/donate. Just like my boy Sean's over here doing, man. I really appreciate it, dude. And to be honest, man, like normal everyday people helping this campaign out has been probably the most humbling experience of my life because, dude, money's not easy to come by. It's just not. And I got people out there, because we're required by Arkansas law to say, ask what they do for a living, and I got guys that are like, they work at Walmart, sending me $20, I'm a carpenter, sending me, $50. And that's just awesome. That's a testament to that voluntary action that us Liberty people always talk about. So yeah, man, that's pretty cool. But thank you very much, Sean, for that.
I'm a tech
very
tard
awesome.
and I'm trying to do this as fast as possible, but because I'm a tech tard, it's not saving forever. Hang
And
on.
there,
I'm
and
almost done.
there's also an edit button on this too. We can always, we can do that.
Uh-oh. Oh. Hang on. It makes you consent. I like that. I have to
Yeah.
first.
Yes, this is a libertarian site. We need your consent. That's right.
Okay, hang on a second. Hang on. We're going to do something different.
I'm wondering what else I can talk about in the meantime. Let's see here. If I was holding down the air for a radio program, I would probably say visit today's sponsor, but I don't know who the sponsor is of BudsnReality for this show right now.
@_Infinite Zeal, the Zeal.
Infinite Zeal.
Joel Ellenwood, how you doing, brother?
All right, definitely visit today's sponsor and help this out. Support those who support the things you like to listen to. So yeah, Infinite Zeal. I like that guy on Twitter too, man. I like the stuff he posts. I like that dude a lot, man. And oh, by the way, if you're coming to the LNC convention in DC, you will get to see me there. I will be in DC. I am a delegate for the state of Arkansas, so I look forward to anybody that's going to be in DC. Send me a message and we'll click up when we're there. If you want to go grab a bite to eat or get a cup of coffee at the coffee bar. I don't drink alcohol, but I'll have a cup of coffee with you. So I look forward to talking to everybody. It's going to be a busy week, a busy weekend for sure. Especially now that Trump is coming. We're going to have even a busier time there. Don't know if you heard that. We could have done a whole show, Sean, on Trump coming to the LNC as well.
Oh my God, we totally could have. And actually, son of a bitch, why is it doing this to me? Your shit is so tight. It's asking me for like codes and shit. I almost might have to go upstairs and look at my email because my Bud's email is not on my phone.
Well, oh, you mean like it's not letting you just...
I got to get a confirmation code.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Is it from your bank?
This is from Link.
Huh.
Enter your verification code sent to your email. Your information is saved. I like this.
That must be a third party thing you have going on with your card company because it doesn't do that for everybody. So
hang on. I need to go upstairs and do this real quick.
All right, well, go ahead and pause the show.
Dude, we're doing this. We're doing this right
just now. Pause it. Just pause it. I'll sit here and I'll go off camera for a second and we'll come back.
All right, let's do this. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back, folks.
I'll show you guys I'm donating.
Yeah, we're going to show you he's donating.
We'll be right back.
And we are back, folks.
Back, and I'm sorry we had to take a pause, but look, I just made Michael White $100.
Dude, thank you, man.
Contribution. That's what I can do for you, brother. Like
I just got it, man. Dude, again, I want to tell you a huge thank you. There have been so many people like you who have propelled this campaign forward. It's been amazing. I'm not one to ask people for money. Like that's not a thing that I've ever done really in my life. I've always sold a service or I've done something like that, but you really quickly realize that in this game, you're not taken seriously if you don't raise money. You can be the richest guy in the world and you can self-fund a campaign and you're still not taken seriously. The media considers you a serious candidate by how much money you raise. That's just the truth. And so when someone gives, $50, $100, $25, doesn't matter. it's showing people that you're legitimate. Like, and it perpetuates itself. And I'm incredibly grateful for it, man. That's awesome. Thank you very, very much.
No, I believe in what you're doing. And here I am in Detroit, Michigan. I have nothing to do with Arkansas politics whatsoever. But because I believe in you and what you're doing, and that you're in the most winnable race out of any libertarian that's running right now. I'm sorry, Lars. I love you, man. And I love you, Larry Sharp. Like I love you guys, but we know what we know, and it's not going to be a good situation on that end. But I will be
They
supporting.
might be able to stop 270 though.
Dude, if I
Lars
think
got that hashtag stop 270. I got to give it to Lars on this one. He had that idea way before it was a popular media idea. Like everyone's talking about a contingent election now, even the mainstream media channels. Lars was talking about that stuff a year ago. Like he came to the table early with that one. So I mean, I got to give it to him on that, dude. He knew that was going to be the topic, and it is. And almost the RFK campaign hooked onto it and was like, "Oh, we're going to say that too." Lars said it first. He did.
that's
So
awesome. And
yeah,
not to detour things from you, but like honestly, like I fully endorse Lars Mapstead. I
yeah.
fully endorsed Lars Mapstead before he came out with Larry Sharp. But now I definitely endorse it because like Larry Sharp's in my top five. When I talk about my top five, there was the trifecta, and then there was two more that was added to it. You
Yeah.
happen to be one of them, and then there
Thank
was
you.
Larry Sharp. And on top of Shane Hazel, Spike Cohen, the Cajun Libertarian. I love all you guys. Like seriously.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think that Larry and Lars have the best opportunity to raise money as LP candidates on the top of the ticket. Larry's just so good at doing that. He has so much expertise in it. And they're going to be like a messaging powerhouse, to be honest. I mean, it's going to be hard to ignore them, and which is what's important in this election for the LP is there's a lot going on, and the RFK thing will become a bigger focus of the media as we get closer to November, and we need to be in that focus too. And with Lars already being in like 14 national polls, you throw Larry Sharp in there, who has a ton of credibility with the mainstream media. That's the people. Those are the two. Those are the two guys that will do I think the best. And not that I don't really like the other candidate. I mean, I'm very much friends with Chase and Mike. I think they're great guys, and I, but we have to pick one. We just have to pick one,
Right.
and my choice will be Lars as well. Not that I don't love Chase Oliver, not that I don't love Mike, not that I don't respect those guys, not that I don't think they've done great work. They've done amazing work, and I still think there's a future for them to keep doing work. But dude, this is going to be about not getting caught up in the noise. There's going to be a lot of noise in 2024. This is going to be the noisiest presidential election in the history of America. I really do mean that. It's
Absolutely.
not the most important election because they're always the most important, but this will be the noisiest one. This will be the loudest one. This is the one where there's going to be so many bullhorns going off in so many directions. Like we got to have people that can rise above the fray, and Larry and Lars will be able to get the resources to do that. I
Right
mean,
on.
they will.
And I fully agree with you. Now to close this show out, we want to get to know Michael White to close it
Sure.
out.
All right.
So outside of politics,
Yeah.
the first question will be political, but then the rest aren't going to be.
All right.
But
Cool.
you as an individual, as Michael White, as a voter, not just a guy running for state representative,
Okay.
what are the most important issues to you as an individual?
Man, number one is probably criminal justice reform. I would say obviously like I'm a big 2A guy. I'm endorsed by Gun Owners of Arkansas. I've always been like a gun rights guy. That's obviously a top line issue. If I have to vote on a single issue, I vote on that issue. Like you could agree with me on everything else, but if you were to take the guns, I'm not voting for you. But the truth is the reason why I'm that as a top line issue is because of the way the justice system treats people, right? You see what I'm saying? So because the 2A backs up all the other rights. So really the top line issue to me is criminal justice reform. Jury nullification instructions, I think, would be really, really key to a very fair system. Because even if somebody passes a crappy law, if jurors at least knew that they don't have to find somebody guilty if they don't agree with the law, that was the intent of the jury system to begin with. The founding fathers kind of thought people would just make that assumption because people were a little more independent minded back then, like Sean, I passed a law that says you can't have more than 6 cows. But you got 7 and I'm bringing you to trial and all your neighbor farmers are like, okay, yeah, you got him. He's got his grandma testified he had 8 cows. So did his wife. Yeah, we know he had 8. I don't care. He's not guilty. We don't believe in the cow limit law here in Dairyland. So that criminal justice reform, automatic expungements yeah, of felons after a certain date, depending on the type of the offense. I think so that people can, if they pay their debt to society, they can rejoin society without stigma. Obviously, there's probably ways to do that and ways not to do that that are responsible, that makes sense. But we got a lot of guys out there that, 15 years ago have like a felony drug conviction. They're still answering yes on that box, trying to get a job. They're still, being denied housing opportunities. To me, as a Christian, that's not Christian. If we believe in forgiveness, then we need to believe in forgiveness. And forgiveness isn't keeping a record of wrongs, past the time that it's necessary to. I think so. That's a big one. And the second one after criminal justice reform, that's not involving um, gun rights, obviously, would be just taxation. Clearly, how we fund the things that we want. You might say, well, Michael, why is that not number one? Because no matter what we do with taxes, at some point in time, somebody's going to argue that you didn't do it right, I think, no matter what it is, and they'll try to send you in court anyway. So you need to make sure you have the court system kind of the right way. But obviously, I'd like a more voluntarily funded society. I think that we can do that and have all the good things we like. I like libraries, man. I got a library card in my wallet right now. I go all the time. I like parks. I like all those things. I like bridges. I like roads. I just don't like the fact that like I'm told that I'm funding those things with this forced extraction of my labor when I know that's not true. Like they say it's for the roads and the bridges and the libraries and the birds, and then what it's really for is, you know, paying my buddy, 10 times the going rate for him to build this, auditorium for the city, or some contract we had with the interstate here where they were supposed to complete it in 4 years, they did nothing, took the money and left. I mean, like that's the kind of stuff that really happens with it. So I think a more voluntarily funded society. So, yeah, number one, criminal justice reform. Number two, taxation, and then all of that kind of under the umbrella of gun rights.
All right. Now let's get to some more fun stuff.
All right, cool.
You and Mrs. White go out for dinner. What is Michael White's favorite meal of life when he goes?
Cheeseburger. Man, I'm a cheeseburger fanatic, dude. I am so simple, man. Like, my birthday's coming up, and my wife is like, "Where do you want to go for your birthday to eat?" And my wife wants me, when it's her birthday, to take her to a very nice place. We get dressed up. We go to like have all the fancy things and all, the fancy names and stuff. Dude, I want to go to like a Greasy Spoon. Give me a cheeseburger, some fries, maybe like a slice of key lime pie, and I'm good. Yeah,
I
I'm
love that.
good.
That's awesome.
Dude,
Simple man.
yeah, I'm super simple, dude. I could literally probably eat a cheeseburger for every meal of my life and be completely happy. Like, I don't get. I mean, it's like you got all the food groups in one, man. What's there not to like? You got a
Right,
little bit of
right.
salad. You got some meat. You got all the stuff, dude. It's all right there. It's all right there.
Now, movies. What's
All
your
right.
favorite movie, man? Like what are you watching? Like, are you an action guy? You a drama guy? Are you a rom-com guy? What are you?
Oh man, I judge movies by like if I think about them when I'm done watching them. Like for a while, like if I'm still thinking about them in like a good way. Um, I went and saw the Civil War movie at the theater.
Okay.
The new one, and it was weird. It was like I'm not gonna say I liked it or didn't like it, but it made me think about things a little bit, like how they kind of portrayed stuff, and it made me kind of think about our current situation. But if you want to say what, like that's like the most recent movie I watched. I watched that like I guess a few days ago. Me and my buddy went. But my favorite movie, if I had to pick a favorite movie, ooh, um, man, it's gonna be a very close tie between Fight Club and Shawshank Redemption. Yeah, very close between those two, and it's hard to say which one of those I think is better. To be honest
You
with
already broke the number one rule of Fight Club,
you, I
though.
talked about it. Yeah, I know. That was such a formational movie to me. About it introduced me to Chuck Palahniuk as an author too, which I liked a lot of his works, and I think that Brad Pitt has probably never been a better actor than he was in that movie. And Edward Norton did really good too, obviously. But Shawshank Redemption, man, talk about a story, man. That's like, there's a lot of that's a deep one. It's sad that Stephen King has gone so statist, isn't it?
Oh
Like
my
he's
God.
gone, like, dude, he's man, for a guy that like warned you of like bad things happening and scary stuff, he like embraces. Maybe that makes sense. Maybe that's why he likes the state because they're the scariest thing out there. So he's like, yeah, yeah.
that guy went like so far off in left field, literally and figuratively. Like
Yeah.
he's got TDS bad. Like, and I've even commented on some of his stuff on Twitter. Like, dude, it's not healthy for you to let one person, live rent free in your mind. I say that to a lot of people who have this, Trump derangement syndrome. Like, dude, I understand he's a bad dude. And as a matter of fact, I've been very vocal against the LP, bringing him in as a speaker at their national convention. I feel some type of way about that, but we don't need to
Are
get
you
into
going to
that.
be? Are you going to be at national convention?
I got snubbed as a voter. So as a
Oh,
so
okay. So you're not coming.
yeah, I'm in
Um,
Michigan. Long story. Don't need to get into that, but
I
yeah.
understand that. Yeah, it's going to be weird, man. That's going to be a weird deal. I'm kind of got to the place where I get with a lot of things I can't control. Something that I learned as a young man that I've tried to constantly improve on is like let the things go that I cannot control. Right. I mean, that's kind of a daily prayer in my life is, grant me the serenity to accept the things I
Right.
cannot change. Right. And I can't change that one. So for whatever reason, that's what's happening is supposed to happen. And I'm just going to pray that something good comes out of it. That's all I can do. So I'm going to look forward to seeing what that room's going to be like. I am on the Lars policy team. So there might be a good chance that if he's the candidate rebutting, I might even be backstage with Trump. And if I get to be backstage with him, I will make use of my time and I will say, "Hey, Donnie, my name's Michael. I'm from Arkansas. My state loves you, dude. Like they think you're great. Listen, man, we got to get some liberty principles going if you're going to be the guy. Like, probably Lars isn't going to be the guy. You have a good chance of being the guy, but like you got to like realize, man, like 3 minutes, just say, hey, listen, the individual matters more than anything. Think about using government force in everything you do, and you'll be good. And like, see how that goes. And maybe that's it, man. What would you do if like inauguration night? He's like, and I'm talking to this guy Michael White behind the stage at the
Oh
Libertarian.
my God. That would be great. My plea to the Libertarian Party, who, whether you're pro or against this, is that not only do I hope you ask him the hardest questions that he will fumble over, boo his ass off stage. He doesn't belong there. Period. Whether you believe that or not, that's irrelevant. That's
I
my
think we should let him speak if he's
boo
going to be
his
there.
ass off stage.
I think if he's going to be there, let him speak. Um, again, it's not like I got to decide if he's there or not. So I'm going to let him speak his piece, just like I would if it was Biden, just like I would if it was RFK, anybody else. I don't, again, know why they made this decision. It doesn't seem like it's very logical to me. But let's just say this. Let's say in the next like week, RFK agrees too. And then Biden feels pressured too. Now the LP just pulled off something that is like a first in American politics, certainly the first in the 2024 election, where like you got everybody under one thing on one stage. And nobody has pulled that off. And they may not pull it off again, till November. That might be kind of cool too. So, I'm not going to cheer. I'm not going to boo. I'm going to, let him come out and say his piece. I know some people will be booing for sure. Some people will be cheering. I've heard that people are booking the convention who are Republicans who just want to come see him because it's a Trump appearance and they want to be there. I'll look at that more as like an opportunity. Hey, I'm going to be around a lot of people who are not familiar with liberty and libertarianism, and it's my opportunity to be a good brand ambassador for that. And so talk about why government force and coercion is dangerous, why it's wrong, what the proper role of government is in society. Um, I'm looking forward to that, and I'm hoping that other people are trying to be good brands, good brand ambassadors. Unfortunately, there's going to be some that are just, you're not a real libertarian, so I'm just going to be a dick to you. I mean, like, I don't play well with those people, man. I'm like, whatever, man. I'm gonna go over here, man. Have fun being mentally trying to be like the world's biggest loser. That's what I feel like it is. You know what I mean? Like these guys that argue about who's more libertarian, I'm like, you're just trying to be like the biggest loser in the room. Like that's all you're
Right.
trying. Like, come along to get along, dude. So yeah, movies. That was movies, and we somehow got in Trump. So yeah.
I get that. Now, final question. And this is
All
the
right.
most important question for me personally.
All right.
What the hell is Michael White listening to while he's getting pumped to go
Dude.
against
So
the
that's
state?
so
Like, what
funny
is
that
he?
you,
What are you listening to go door knocking? What are you listening to like
man,
go
dude.
against
I
your
I
opponent?
get like in these. I don't know. I guess it's because the algorithm culture we live in now. Like you start listening to something that starts suggesting it, and I go through these loops. But lately, like the past probably like week, for whatever reason, Coheed and Cambria has been like a centerpiece of my life, and I haven't listened to them in like 12, 15 years or something like that. Like, so I've been listening to a lot of Coheed this week. And I wasn't really a big fan of them a long time ago, but now I'm like, I don't know why. Like, that's kind of been pumping me up. I guess it's a lot of energy, right? Kind of that big metal sound, maybe. Man, I like music. I'm like you, dude. I like music. That's what I like. I like music. And there's no, how do I say, that's like saying, like, what kind of air do you like to breathe? Man, I need it in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I've never had bad air. I just good, better, best. Like, I would die without it. That's kind of how I feel about music. Um, Before that, I think a couple weeks ago, what was I really listening to a lot? Um, Man, for whatever reason, I was like listening to like some like kind of some like 1950s, early 60s kind of like big band stuff, like
Oh,
Sinatra and stuff like that. Was kind of going on. Don't know why. I guess they just kind of rolled through. So, man, who knows? Next week I might be. Who knows what it might be? Who knows?
I love that. I love that. Now, before we go, I do have some announcements to make. This is my 100th episode. And with that being said, I have started a Patreon, which will be $3 a month, and it will be for Liberty Book Club members. We are going to pick one book a month, and we are going to have one live show per month to discuss said book. And you are invited. If you are a paying member, you can do this live podcast. And it'd be a great way to spread the message of, Austrian economics, because that's what it's going to be driven on. A lot of it is Austrian economics, because what most people don't understand is that libertarianism is actually really just an economic, philosophy
Hmm.
based off Austrian economics. That's why there's so many people who are like Mises, Rothbard, Hayek, Hazlitt, whoever it may be, Konkin. There's guys out there who be like, hey, this is how we do it. And that's one thing that I feel like is very important. So if you'd like to be a Patreon member, that's at BudsnReality. Everything has the same handle, at BudsnReality. I also have started a TikTok, which is dangerous on my end. At some point, I'm sure the feds will be knocking on my door. But anyways, I do have that same handle at BudsnReality. And also, you guys, if you believe in what I'm doing in the show, please cash at me, BudsnReality. Just like you see it spelled on the show, when on your listening devices. Please, anything that helps keep the show going is welcomed. I don't care, if you're donating $1, $10, whatever maybe, I don't care. Everything helps. And with that being said, Mike, you close it out, man.
Man, I'm going to close that. I'm going to close it out here, watching my browser to see if this will go through, because I'm going to be your first Patreon subscriber. Let's see if it goes through here. I think that it went through. Yeah, I am now subscribed to BudsnReality on Patreon. I've never even had a Patreon account. I've never done that ever yet in my life. So I got a Patreon account, and now I'm subscribed to you. So I would ask everyone to do the same thing, man, because recurring revenue is the key to a good business. Like, if you got to always live off what you hunt, man, it's not going to be as easy as if you just build a recurring base of people. So I will be joining you on those Liberty Book Clubs. I can't wait to kind of talk to you about that. Now, look, during the campaign, I might be a little too busy, but I'll look forward to it. Again, yeah, my name is Michael White. It has been a pleasure and an honor to be here with my friend Sean Collins, who really is a friend of mine. I consider you a very deep and dear friend. It's kind of cool that I met you in my life. I don't know what I met so many people in the Liberty journey that, like, I don't know who I was friends with before. Like, I have lifelong friends, obviously, before any of this. But the Liberty community is a small community, and it's kind of cool to see how people kind of conglomerate and come together. And you've definitely been one of the best ones, man. I'm running for state representative here in District 75. I would invite anyone to go and look at the demographics of the district, research the district. It was District 32 before redistricting, which was slightly drawn differently. And look how close it was. This is a two-way race, no Republican in a red state during a presidential election year where the incumbent is a Democrat. There's going to be a lot of Republican turnout. I think our chances are really good. We're running a legitimate campaign. We're a viable opportunity for change. And as long as, we knock on doors, do our part, and advertise a winning message, I think we're going to win. So please support us there, mw4liberty.com. And last but not least, I will say this. You get the government you deserve. So even if you're an anarchist, show up and vote. Show up and vote. Know who's on your ballot. You know you got nothing to lose and everything to gain. That's all I got, man.
Love it, man. Love it so much. And until next time, man, peace, love, and liberty, y'all. Mike, I wish you the best of luck on your campaign. I know we'll be in touch before it all happens.
We definitely will, man.
But dude, this is great. And I really hope, I actually feel really good about you doing this.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not doing it not to win, man. So yeah, thank you so much.
Ashley Hudson, we're coming for you, just to let you know.
Yeah, she'll have more time to go back to what she was doing before. I mean, like I said, hey, she's a nice enough woman. I'm not going to say anything bad about her, but yeah, it's time to move over. So,
amen. Be good, y'all. Thank you so much.
Peace.